Right, this is the one we've all been waiting for because the PG35VQ is finally here. This is an ultra-wide gaming monitor with 200Hz of refresh rate, 1000 nits of G-Sync Ultimate, and a quantum dot 3440 by 1440 panel. So it's definitely the ultimate spec sheet, the best of the best, but with a frankly ludicrous price tag of over £2,500. Could this possibly be worth it? I'll be going through everything you need to know here, but if you're not ready to drop thousands on a new monitor just yet, why not upgrade your mouse to wireless, with this video being proudly sponsored by Logitech and the brand new G502 Lightspeed wireless gaming mouse. Now, using a great mouse is oh so important to getting to the top of the leaderboard, and the 502 Lightspeed brings all of the features you'd expect from the very best. A super responsive 16,000 dpi hero sensor, Lightsync RGB lighting, great battery life, and support for PowerPlay induction charging, all while providing the freedom of a truly wireless mouse. Cut the cord today with Logitech. Get your very own G502 Lightspeed with a link in the description below. The first thing really is that yes, this is the best gaming monitor on the planet right now. So if money's really not a problem for you, go right ahead. This provides the ultimate PC gaming experience hands down. Everything is just meticulously crafted, with a beautifully designed monitor frame that oozes quality, and is arguably the perfect size and resolution for gamers. It is ridiculously heavy, however, so do be careful if you're wanting to use a third-party mount. And this weight also means that we do have to deal with a very oversized stand just to keep it stable, which, to be fair, does work a real treat with smooth operation to each level of adjustment, but it is going to protrude onto your desk, so please be really careful if you do have one that's quite shallow. Lady Gaga, Shallow, how's it go? Copyright. You'll almost certainly be hooking this up via DisplayPort 1.4, which allows for 200Hz in SDR mode without any colour subsampling, but sadly 10-bit colour support does stop above 144Hz in HDR mode, so there is still a little bit of bandwidth limitation here. But having said this, it's not something that I would say is a big concern, especially when you compare it to the 27UQ, as support there stops at 98Hz. I wouldn't let this stop you making a purchase. Now, this display uses a VA panel with quantum dot technology to produce a lovely VA contrast, but then combine it with the colour accuracy and richness that you'd expect from IPS. But while the panel is likely to be the best VA monitor I've ever used from this standpoint, at this price, I think it's fair to say that I really expected to be blown away. And to be completely honest with you, I wouldn't say that I was. Now, calibrating the panel helped to get a better looking image, no doubt about it, but I'm of course going to compare this to the PG27UQ. And I found that that's just leagues ahead in terms of outright image quality. My mind was impressed every single time I sat at my desk and turned that monitor on, whereas this just comes across as a bit more solid. So I think it's fair to say that this is very much a dedicated gaming display, which for most people watching this video is probably completely fine. But in my eyes, the fact that you lose the class-leading image quality does help to limit its appeal slightly, especially to someone like myself. So that begs the question, if you're not paying for the outright best image quality possible, what are you paying for? Well, two things actually. The slickest ultra-wide performance in combination with mind-blowing HDR visuals. And yeah, this really is the real deal, with Mass Effect Andromeda and Far Cry 5 really showing just how good games can look and feel. The reason that this monitor is so special is all thanks to the full array local dimming system, or FALD, that's baked right into the back of the display. There's a total of 512 zones of bright LEDs that power the panel, and this allows you to have bright highlights and dark blacks on the same screen all at the same time. And in practice, it really does work rather well. And while you will get some blooming around mouse cursors and the menus, this literal big picture is mind-blowing. And seriously, Mass Effect just absolutely blew me away with just how good it looks. Standout contrast, great colour, and then that huge immersive field of view from the display. This does all require a cooling fan, but to be honest with you, I never would have known that it was there if I hadn't looked it up, as it's been pretty much silent during all types of use. And this is a huge step forward compared to the X27 and PG27UQ, where I would describe their fans as problematic. In terms of actually getting the HDR support, I think the dilemma is the fact that while most games that come out now, especially the AAA ones, will support HDR, your library and the games that you play now probably include quite a lot of titles that don't support HDR. So take me for instance, I play a lot of Battle Royale. It's mainly Apex Legends, but sometimes it's Fortnite, Battlefield, PUBG, and out of all of those games, which I would argue are probably the biggest games on PC right now, it's only Battlefield that actually supports HDR. So if you're going to pick this up, you've got to not only spend a load of money, but you've got to be aware of the fact that there's a chance that the games you play might not even support the feature that you're buying into, at least for a year or two. Whenever you're not playing in HDR, it's clearly not so impressive. But to be honest, you will soon forget about that lack of impact when you start racking up all of those kills. Now, 200Hz and such a low level of input lag gives you a frankly unfair advantage, and I've had about 6 Apex wins already, all with this screen. Your entire field of view is just filled with detail. And sure, it's not close to the 4K sharpness of its smaller cousins, but it's way more practical and much easier to drive. But, having said this, it's still not the perfect solution because you will need a big and beefy graphics card to actually supply this at close to 200Hz at its full resolution of 3440 by 1440. It is doable, especially if you play MOBA or just some older titles, but be aware that even if you have an RTX 2080 Ti, I don't think you're going to be playing most of your games at 200Hz. Nearer the 100, 150 frames a second mark is probably more likely, but it's going to depend on what you're playing. But ultimately I think if you can afford this monitor, a high-end graphics card is probably within reach as well. If you are running at a lower FPS, you can at least rely on Gsync to help smooth out the frames. And as usual, it will reduce the stutter and tearing in your games. It's not completely perfect, as micro stutters will still be noticeable, but it's not a technology I'd want to be without. My favourite thing about the VQ though, is actually how well the smearing and ghosting is handled, as unlike so many other VA monitors I've used, I've not really seen any traces of smearing or anything in games, and this is one of the many reasons that this monitor is at the top of the video game class. This is the point then when we need to talk about the verdict. Is this monitor worth buying? And I think I need to get nice and comfortable for this bit, because it is a tricky one. On one hand, and probably the most important thing, is that this is the best gaming monitor you can buy right now. We've been saying that quite a lot over the years, but monitors have been getting better and better, and at the moment this is the pinnacle for gaming. There's no monitor I would rather use to play games. That's it, that's the end of it. However, there's a couple of things that would stop me from buying this. The first one really is the fact that the image quality isn't as good as its cheaper brother, the 27UQ. But then the other thing is the fact that the price is £2,600 at the time of filming. Real world price. Not sure what the RRP is, that's just how much it costs at the moment. And I think the real problem there is that for that exact same amount of money, you could buy a gaming monitor, a 55-inch OLED TV, and an RTX 2080 Ti. So I think at its current price point, it's not difficult to recommend, it's just difficult to say to you, you should spend that amount of money on a monitor, because it's not something personally I'm willing to do. If it dropped nearer 2,000, I think we'd really be talking, but at the moment I think it's pushing it a bit, and I think that if you are interested in this, it might be worth waiting a few months, letting the dust settle a bit, and actually seeing if the prices drop, because if this doesn't sell that well, the prices will come down, everyone will be able to get a better deal, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that. If you do want to check out the current price of the PG35VQ or anything else featured in this video, then you can down with the links below. And while you're down there, don't forget to head over to our sponsors link for the Logitech G502 Lightspeed, the wireless gaming mouse that is sure to cause a stir. A wireless mouse can make such a difference to the flexibility and comfort of your gaming experience. And when you're packing such a pro-grade hero sensor and 1 millisecond response time, there is nothing stopping you from dominating the battle royale. Cut the cord with Logitech today. Find the G502 Lightspeed linked down in the description below. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you've enjoyed it, please hit the like button, it helps out so much you really wouldn't believe. Get subscribed for more monitor reviews and other things just like this. And a massive thank you to Asus ROG for loaning out this review sample. Let me know your thoughts on something this expensive down in the comments below. Would you pick up the 35VQ or is it just too expensive? Thank you. I'll see you in the next one.